Selma. There you go. Okay, so that's the fine print. The meeting is being recorded, and we will have you muted for this session. However, we are going to ask for your participation via chat. So we would love it if you would share information with us because we do want to make it a little bit of a working series. So as I said, welcome to the Women Entrepreneurship Series and Foresee Your Sales Success. My name is Shelley McQuade, and I'm the moderator for this series, and I'm joined with Selma Burney, who does all of our back-end support for us and our digital media as well. And Sharon Ricci is joining me today as well, too, for doing the actual session itself. So as you know, or you may recall if you've been to some of the other sessions, our theme for this year was Be Brave, which in light of COVID, I think many of us have had to dig a little bit deeper than we even thought when I created the Be Brave theme for the year. And I actually got it from, I was reading my Magnolia Journal magazine, and there was a lady from a company called Darling in there that actually organizes events that brings women together. And one of the things that she does in those events is encourages women to be vulnerable, because I think a lot of times challenges that we have other people are having, and if we're not willing to kind of share those challenges and brainstorm those challenges, we're never going to break through them and kind of get to the other side. So that was the reason for having this theme as well, too, is encouraging each of us to kind of dare to go for the life that we want and have the courage to move forward and face our obstacles and keep on going. Which, speaking of that, the series is in honor of our good friend Justin Policarpio, who started the series in his early 20s and unfortunately passed away from cancer at the young age of 30. So in honor of him, we keep the series going. And that is courtesy of our very generous sponsors. Selma, do you have our slide up with our sponsors on it? So yes, thank you very much to our sponsors. So for our gold sponsors, we have the W. Booth School of Engineering from McMaster University. We have the Hamilton Business Center and our good friend Kristen from there. And BDC, we have our good friend Chris from there as well, too, as Jennifer. And again, we thank them very much for their sponsorship. And for our silver sponsor, we have SB Partners. And again, without our sponsors, it would not be possible for us to do this series. So again, we very much are grateful for their participation. So back to our Be Brave theme. Well, I guess first we should introduce ourselves, right, Sharon? Go through the agenda. Okay, so Selma, do you want to do the agenda? So again, we have the introduction of the series. Our presenters today is Sharon Ricci of The Influence Factor, and of course myself, Shelley McQuade. And this is going to be a participative workshop. We are going to have a Excel document that we're going to be working on, and we're going to give that to you at the end of the session. So just sit back, relax, and just kind of, this is more for you to be just participating and thinking before you actually develop your plan. And if you can go to the next slide, Selma. And this is our very cute emojis. I don't know, does it look like us? Yeah, exactly. So Sharon is I call Sharon a sales support guru. So Sharon will give you a little bit more information on her background, but essentially she's a marketing genius and has a number of years of experience in helping big brands to really elevate their the customer experience. So I'll let Sharon kind of talk about that before I go and do her whole bio for her.
There we go. Well, welcome everyone, and welcome to my kitchen, which is kind of fun to have all you ladies here. As Shelley said, I'm Sharon Ricci. I am an on-demand strategic creative director. A lot of the work I do with clients is helping them develop a plan for sales and selling, and then developing the materials that they need to carry that through. I've had almost 30 years of experience working on national Canadian and international brands, including Burger King, FedEx, Pepsi, Honda, Sanyo, Sara Lee. So I've been in some very big boardrooms. I've also been in some wonderful, very, very small boardrooms working with solopreneurs, helping them get really clear on where their next sale is coming from, and also big creative ideas. So that's me. My role today is to help explain the system that Shelley and I have come up with, the 4 C's, and in the duration of the time, I'm going to be popping in just talking about my beware moments, because I hate to sell. It's one of my Achilles heels. Shelley's been a strategic coach of mine, and she always knows I love to develop. I love to do all the work. I love the creative. But when it comes time to sell, it really is a weakness for me. So I created this program with Shelley because I needed a program like this. And so I feel the pain of anyone out there who is not a natural salesperson. And without sales, really, I think one of my favorite quotes is, if your business is not making money, it's a hobby. So it's all about getting out there and doing sales, even when it's hard for you.
Great, thanks, Sharon. And as I said, I coined myself as the selling the invisible expert. So I have 20 plus years experience with selling the invisible and helping organizations to figure out how to sell the invisible, which is essentially intangible business-to-business solutions. So I started my career in sales pretty early on. I remember I started out as a copywriter, and one of the sales guys was going to be leaving, and he said to me, you know, you should really go into sales. Like, I think you'd be really good at it. And I'm like, oh, I don't know, you know, it's commission and I'd have to give up my salary. And he said, well, you know what, come out with me on a sales call. So I went with him on the sales call, and he positioned me as his replacement, which was a bit of trial by fire. And we actually made the sale that day. So that was a little bit of incentive and a bit of a push for me to move forward, and did it. And within the first year, I doubled what I had made in my salary, and then I doubled that again. So it was a great opportunity for me to see what opportunities are out there with sales. And so, yeah, now essentially what I do is help clients to develop those sales strategies. And I think Sharon and I are really both on the same page with this. It's really about identifying who is a right fit client for you. As much as I'm a natural salesperson, I, like everybody else, I think, don't really love rejection. So I think the clearer you are about who your target audience is, and the clearer you are with the pain problem that you solve for them and how you can take their pain away, the higher probability you have that you're going to be able to make that connection. And it's really about, I always say too, if it's a right fit, there's a lot less effort. If you bring in a client that's not a right fit client, it's going to take more resources to manage that relationship. And it's going to be much more challenging and difficult to grow, whether you're doing a sales role or whether you have your own business. Yeah. So that's another kind of key piece of it as well. So we're kind of, I think with the system, we're kind of plunking you in the middle of the system. And we're making some assumptions that, you know, you've developed a bit of a, you know, goal for yourself around what your sales revenue target is and that kind of thing. So that would certainly be something that we would suggest that you do right off the top. And now, just want to kind of get everybody's participation in this, and share one of the stories around a sales experience where you were brave. So something that kind of pushed you out of your comfort zone, and either that itself led to success, or even just doing that gave you some confidence to take on some other things that eventually led to the kind of result that you were looking for. So Sharon,
you go first.
Okay.
She'll have way more of those. I'll have like one brave moment, but she'll have many more.
Yeah. I mean, I do have a number of them, right? I think the one that I shared with you when I first kind of began my career in sales is definitely one. But I think another one for me too is, I don't know how many people were involved in kind of the 2008, 2009, when the US banks had the big kind of meltdown, and there was a lot of negative impact to the economy. So I found myself out of work at that point in time. I had been working with another consulting company, and sales just weren't coming in. So suddenly there I was. And I was kind of in this weird spot where I was like, okay, am I going to go find a position? Am I going to start my own business? And I really had a big passion for wanting to start my own business and help other entrepreneurs. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. So I took everybody that I had in my network, and I basically just started connecting with people. So I sent out emails, can we meet for a coffee? Love to tell you what I'm up to. And it was really interesting. Out of that, one of the people that I see, great, I love what you're doing. He goes, geez, I think you, yes, I do. You know, so it was just one of those things where it was just take the opportunity and run with it. And from there, I didn't look back. It was great, I guess, fast tracking of things, and it started to really kind of build some positive momentum. So I think the one thing that I always say is the universe rewards action. So, and I think there's nothing truer than that than there is in sales. You know, if nothing's happening, you got to create it and make it happen. So that's my story.
That's really good. As I already confessed, sales are absolutely my weak spot. I don't like rejection. I feel sick if I have to make a call. God forbid.
Sure.
It really, really is. I would rather do almost anything other than make a phone call. I'm happy to meet for coffee. I'm happy to send an email. I will tweet the heck out of you. But if someone said, here's a list, call it, I would probably come down with the flu instantly from stress. But having said that, one of the times I got very brave, I did have a foot on my back at the time. I had a coach who was a sales coach, and she said to me, okay, no more BS, Sharon. Like, stop developing it, stop doing the creative, stop sending emails, pick up the freaking phone and start making calls. And I was selling I still own it. It's an online publication called Influence Magazines. And she said, I want you to make 50 calls before you can talk to me again. Don't even talk to me until you made these 50 calls. So I started dialing, and it was awful actually for the first like 10 of them. And then by the time I got to the number 15 call, started talking to this woman, as Shelley said, it was a perfect fit. She had the pain that I solved, and it was just a really easy call. I ended up making a full service sale, and but it took a lot to make those 15 phone calls. I closed the deal, I did the work, it was an easy project because we were a great fit. So action really is what it takes, and pushing through distraction, inaction, and fear actually has in the past absolutely paid off. And that's one of the reasons why we made this system, was because we get stuck in the easy part and we don't spend enough time in the hard part. So that's part of it from my own personal experiences. Action pays off.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other part is too, is Sharon said it, that dirty little 4-letter F word, fear, that I think is part of the reality of sales. And I have a great acronym for that. It's false evidence appearing real. Because a lot of times when we're feeling fear, what we're really thinking is going to happen really isn't as bad as what could happen. So, I mean, if you're making a cold call even, what's the worst thing that can happen? And sometimes identifying that worst thing can be hugely powerful for you, because it eliminates it kind of dissipates the fear. If you can go, so what's the worst thing? They're going to hang up on me and they're going to, you know, tell me I was a complete idiot. Okay, well, I can take that. I've experienced worse. Absolutely.
I was listening to CBC last week, and it was an author who was paralyzed by the fear of rejection. And someone said to her, your only goal is to get 300 rejection letters. That's your goal. Not to publish, not to be published, but to get 300 rejection letters. And she found it so easy then, because she was like, oh, I'm going to write this short story. I'm going to send it out there. And my goal is rejection. And of course, among the time, she got 9 publications, a best-selling book, because she released the goal was not to make a sale, her goal was, I'm going to get 300 rejection letters because that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
And it turned out exactly action, but I love that. She was looking for 300 rejection letters, and every time she got one, she was like, yes, one more closing to quitting. Soon I can just
Did she publish?
9 times in a best-selling book.
There you go. So, okay.
Yeah.
So again, and I think that's part of it as well too, is that it takes, in sales, it takes a lot of no's to get a yes. And I think it's, you know, it is a numbers game, right? Especially if your full-time career is in sales. You know, I think, if you're a solopreneur, you know, which I am now with my own business, a lot of it is referral based. So that makes it a lot easier because people are kind of, you know, 80% sold when they meet with you, right? So that's always one of the other things that I do encourage as well. Do such a fantastic job with people that they want to refer you and that they're willing to refer you, because that is probably one of the easiest and quickest ways to get a sale and to build and grow your business, and to actually ask your established clients for referrals. Ask them who else they know that is like them that could use your services.
Yeah, well, there's 3 ways to grow your business. One is to find a brand new client, and that's hard like crazy, scary, and mostly makes me want to barf to call someone I don't know. And the other way is to get more business from an existing client, to get them to buy more or buy more often or refer. So sometimes it's hanging out with the people that you already know and leveraging that list.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that, I guess we should really get into the session, but I would encourage you to share on the chat as well too. What is a brave thing that you did for sales that actually led to some kind of success for you, or helped you create a good habit that helped you kind of break through your comfort zone? Which I think is, you know, another kind of thing that's really important. If you're going to be doing sales, you can't be a camper. There's a book called The Adversity Quotient, and the gentleman talks about quitters, campers, and climbers. And you know, if you're a quitter, it's pretty obvious. You throw in the towel, and obviously in sales, that's not going to work. He has it that most sales close, I think it's on the 5th transaction, and most people give up by the 2nd transaction, or the 2nd, you know, conversation that they've had with somebody. So you really have to kind of keep going with that. A camper is really somebody that kind of sets up camp, and then they want to kind of just stay in the status quo and stay in the same place, and they try to just kind of protect their camp. And if you're a camper, again, you know, you're not going to continue to grow, because the other reality is, no matter how good you are, you're going to have a certain amount of attrition in sales. You know, you will get a lot of repeat customers, but people change, they go out of business, they move on to other places, you know, through no fault of your own. A lot of times things will happen. So you got to kind of keep that momentum
So you have
going.
Quitters, campers,
and climbers.
And where's the cowards?
Yeah.
We have
The cowards are probably.
Oh, good.
Oh,
excellent.
good.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So someone said surveys, phone surveys with all folks from the mosque and new friends. So that was one person. And then Lynn said, I was also very uncomfortable doing sales, but I created for myself a variety of scripts to use, especially when I need rebuttals quickly. This turned my comfort level around in doing cold calling. So that was
yeah. I think that's a huge one, Lynn, what Lynn said as well too. I always encourage people to identify what's every possible objection a prospect could give you. Think about absolutely everything they could say to you, and proactively, when you're in a peak state, consider how you would respond, so that when you do hear it, you're kind of like, yeah, no problem. I've got that one covered. I thought of that before. I would say this, right? So you're able to kind of naturally say it to the person, and it becomes easy to do. We have another kind of question: is cold calling still a recommended strategy? I always say, I mean, I think cold calling is probably one of the toughest things that you're going to do. I always look to see if you could possibly, what I call, warm up a cold call. One of the things that I would recommend doing with that is, Sharon's done some really great stuff, I know, around LinkedIn. I'll let her talk about that in just a second. We've also, Sharon and I have brainstormed with many a client what I refer to as lumpy mail. So you create some kind of an item that you send in the mail to a prospect
To warm them up a bit.
Yeah. And then you follow up with a call. So like, let's face it, if somebody gives you, one time I was doing a session and the girl was a cleaning company and for businesses. And I suggested that she send or drop off to businesses, pre-COVID drop off, by the way. Those, those little kind of scrunchy scotch things that you can clean the dishes with and you don't have to get your hands all icky, and anybody who's ever worked in an office knows how gross the dishes get. So, and have her logo or label on the business with her business card attached to it. And then follow up. And I'm like, who's not taking your phone call after you've given them something memorable and really kind of cool that they can use, right?
Yeah, warm them up first. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Did we have any more on the fear?
Well, you were going to talk about your LinkedIn, kind of what
you've done
just
with LinkedIn. That, it's absolutely worth warming them up before you give them a call. We do.
Uh-oh.
I guess they're frozen.
Yes. We'll see. They'll come back shortly.
Okay.
Thank you. Oh yeah, we've lost Sharon and Shelley, and they should join us back shortly here. I'll just let them know. Oh yeah, they'll have to join up again.
Sorry, so I was a bit late. So
no, that's okay. Don't worry.
So it's Shelley and Sharon. Shelley is with the pink glasses?
No, Sharon's the one with the pink glasses, and Shelley isn't wearing glasses at all.
Okay.
So they should be coming up. We'll just have to see. Let them in as soon as they come. But did anybody else have any brave or things that they've done to gain more sales? And if you have, so what I'll do is I'm just going to open it up to everyone till we come. Let me just get the participants, and I go mute all, and then and yeah, if you have an answer, please just press your space bar to unmute yourself, and then you can answer what you've done brave to get cold calls.
I guess I could share as well that I used to just write down a few questions for them, which are relevant to something that they might be interested in and what the product or the service is. And I would just go through a few questions.
Okay.
According to that. And so that's just, and just like a friendly tone, just because I like talking to people. So if that helps anybody else, just pick up the phone and, sort of engage in conversation starters. How's it going? Tell me more about yourself, right? And if we do a bit of research, I remember in petrochemicals, I used to have to do cold calling, and it was my favorite thing to do. So we would just I would just find their LinkedIn or find their company, and hey, how long have you been working in the company? And how'd you end up here? And that just, and if you're sort of a conversationalist or you're curious genuinely about a person, it really just does help them open up. And then you kind of just talk about the products that you might be selling, and hey, this is how we can collaborate. If we've chosen our customers wisely.
Right.
according to that. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you. So other people have said also too, Lynn said before, when I was doing much more cold calling, I used to set a goal every day as to the number of calls I would make and just make a habit of it every day. So yeah, you know, if we make it a habit, it's not so scary. Oh, and we're having Sharon and them back again. So they're coming. And they shall be back. There we go. All right, so Sharon and Shelley are back.
Sorry, we don't know what happened. All of a sudden, our internet just blipped.
See, I even started talking about cold calling, the whole system shut down.
Yeah, exactly.
There we go.
Well,
Sorry.
thank you for your patience, everyone. Selma, did you do a dog and pony show too?
Yeah, I did a little pony show from over here. No, we were just talking about what people have done for when they had issues with cold calling. So some people have put it in, and some people also voiced their concerns. So back to you.
Okay, very good. So hopefully that answers your question about cold calling. And I think a lot of it, again, as we said, I think the primary piece of it is try to figure out how you can warm up the prospect and how you can kind of break through the clutter to really differentiate yourself.
And I think if we jump into the 4 C's, that's
absolutely.
We'll talk more about it in there.
Yeah.
Okay,
So with that,
can you share your screen, Sharon?
yes, we will.
Once you allow me to.
Right.
Yeah, now we have to redo it again because we were out of the.
There you go.
Yeah, so essentially what we're going to do is we've developed this as a bit of a working document. So from there, what we're going to do is fill in some of this information, and then we'll be emailing you a link to this after the session so that you'll have access to it. And Sharon and I think, are both huge fans of systems. I always say that systems will set you free because it takes a lot of brain capacity to try to figure things out if you don't have a system.
Right.
So having a system makes it super easy peasy for you. So the 4 C's we have established for you here today are connect, convert, celebrate, and change. And we're going to go through each of those sequentially. And we've given you some kind of guidance as to how much time you should be spending in each of those. So connect is really about how are you going to connect with your ideal customer? Where do they hang out? Where do they hang out online? Where do they hang out less in person now with COVID? But really identifying, you know, what are their habits? What is it that they do? And not only where can you actually find them, but how can you kind of break through the clutter of their world for them to recognize that they need you?
Yeah. So the 4 C's are basically connect, convert, celebrate, and change. And in our experience, and in my personal experience, we spend a whole lot of time in connect instead of in convert. So these are the 4 C's. We're going to work through them one at a time, tell you what it is, why it's important. Then we're going to come up with ideas there. But in general, if you think about how much time you spend in your own sales efforts, you may find that you're spending a lot of time in an ineffective channel. So the first one that we're going to talk about.
And I'm going to say, actually, Sharon put a 5th commit in there too. Make a commitment. I think a big part of it as well too is figuring out how you can commit deeply to what it is that you're going to do and then stick with it. Because one of the challenges in sales, I always say it's the 80-20 rule. So essentially what'll happen is you're putting forth 80% effort and you're getting 20% back. And then at some point it'll switch over and it'll be 20% effort and 80% back. But you got to keep that momentum going. You can't throw in the towel too early.
Yeah. Up here, when you get this for yourself as a PDF, you can print it off. You can put the date here and then the promise to yourself. I'm making a commitment to myself to spend my time in a way that will grow my business. So I always like to say is how I'm spending my time right now going to turn into money 2 weeks from now. And if it's not, put it aside. Is this going to turn into a sale? Is this going to turn into a referral? If it's not, then you're probably just spinning your wheels, but you can read or make your own promise and then initial it to yourself, pin it up in your work area and say, I'm making a commitment to actually grow my business and not do things that are just comfortable but may not be converting. So the first 30%, sorry, I put 20, but we said 30. So this is called connection, and I'm going to handle this particular C, and then Shelley's going to do convert after this. So connect, that means that you're building, maintaining, and leveraging relationships. Now, that could be being social on LinkedIn. It might mean becoming an expert and writing blog posts. You might be adding to your website. You might be adding to your social media posts. Maybe you're writing emails to your super fans. Maybe you're texting people. Maybe you're having coffee out in an outdoor patio in a safe way. And maybe you're reading up on what other experts are doing. Now, when I do all of those things, they're all of value, but they're not going to turn into money 2 weeks from today. So we need to spend 20 or 30% of our time in this particular sandbox. And it's very valuable because you're building relationships, but very often you're not asking for the sale. You're not putting aggressive offers forward. And what you're going to find is you are, quote unquote, very busy, being social, meeting people, writing blogs, writing posts. But guess what? 2 weeks from today, you're not getting a $2,000 check in the mail or an e-transfer because you're spending too much time connecting. And as I say up here, the beware, and this comes from my own personal experience, so don't feel like I'm judging anyone. It's connecting is often the most fun and natural to women entrepreneurs. We love to connect. We love relationships. The trap is that we over-connect and it feels like we're busy and it feels like we're doing something, but actually we're over-connecting and underselling. So if you find yourself doing what's easy, and that means spending a lot of time on social media, writing posts, maybe you even get one like out of it, you would be better off to make 10 cold calls, honestly, and then call it a day. But under here, what we're talking about on this column is your plan. So if you're going to spend 20 to 30% of your time connecting, and we love that percentage, to the left is our suggestion, being social on LinkedIn. But then you'll say, oh, my plan is this. And you can customize the sheet to being like, I'm going to spend time on LinkedIn. Oh, I'm all about Instagram. I'm Facebook. So this is your social media row. And then this would be, what can you write to be an expert? So write just 2 paragraphs in a blog showcasing an area that you're an expert in. And once you've written that really short blog, you can send it out by email.
What was that one that you said, if you're business to consumer, you want to be known as a likable leader. Right. If you're business to business, you want to be known as the
authority and the expert.
Yeah. Which I think is great advice, right?
It really, and you have to be able to demonstrate that. Now, I'm a writer by trade, so me writing 7 paragraphs is no big deal, but for most people, they get stuck. So just write 2 paragraphs about an area that you are an expert in. Now you have content you can actually share that has value. You could share that on social. You could share it through email. You could tweet it out. I love direct messaging on LinkedIn. All of that falls here under connection. Spend a little bit of time adding to your website or LinkedIn an article that you read and liked. Send it to a client who maybe has lapsed. You would say, hey, I just saw this amazing article in Forbes. I was thinking of you. In connecting, we're not pitching. We're connecting, we're building relationship. It's so surprising sometimes when you are connecting, someone goes, I was just thinking about you, Sharon. And you go, great, let's have a coffee. Staying in touch with people. I'm a big fan of follow-up to get sales up. So keep on following up with people, text them, email, LinkedIn, and do at least 3 contacts per week. So this would be what my plan would be over on this side, and then your plan, you will write what you're comfortable with and what's the best way you can connect in a way that will lead you to the next level, which is actually pitching and selling.
And if you have something here that you've done before, by all means, put it into the chat box, and we'll make sure that we take those.
Yeah, maybe we can spend 2 minutes. Yeah. If everyone wants to jump into the chat box, and what do you do to connect and keep your current clients warm, your current super fans warm? Maybe how do you start connecting with new people? What are you doing to build your quote unquote list? Are you using LinkedIn? Are you doing blogs and sharing them? Are you doing networking? Are you doing virtual networking right now? What are you guys doing to connect and build relationships? And then we'll get Selma to read them out as she gets some.
I'm just going to kind of jump in with one here that I think can be a bit of a double-edged sword, which is building strategic partnerships. I would say Sharon and I have a strategic partnership, right? I use Selma, like those are all people that I have relationships with. Well, I think there's value in that. The cautionary piece, I think, is a lot of times when people network, they meet other people that are targeting a similar demographic to them or a similar audience, and they make assumptions that that person's going to build their business for them. And they, just go out with people all the time that are never going to buy services off of them, but service a similar kind of clientele.
Yeah. When we overconnect, I like to say we make friends and not sales.
Yeah.
I'm guilty. I get a lot of friends. That's sort of how that happens, is too much of that. But someone did a great thing. They said, I spend a lot of time at networking events. And when they said, how many people are here to sell someone something? 9 out of 10 people put their hands up. And then they said, how many people are here to buy anything? And nobody put their hands up. So be careful with networking. You're there to hone your pitch. You're there to work your offer. You're there to connect, but do not rely strictly on networking at all. So Selma, did we get some responses?
Not yet. I've told people to type in the comments how they're connecting. So once we get them.
Yeah, are they using LinkedIn or direct mail or direct messaging or networking?
And we can always include some of these as well too, when we send this out as well too. Just in the next time, maybe we'll go to the next one. Sorry, Selma, did you have something?
No.
Okay. So now we're on to the big E, convert, where you should be spending 60% of your time. I'm just howling because Sharon's spraying her dog with water to stop him from barking. So yeah, this is the joys of our new virtual world. Oftentimes for people, the converting can be the toughest thing for people. And part of the reason for that is that this is where the rubber really kind of hits the road, right? This is where you really have to work hard. And that's why you need to be spending the bulk of your time here. So some of the thoughts and ideas that we had for you here is search and secure referral partners. So we talked before about the value of referrals. So really doing a fantastic job for your clients and building those relationships with them. Now, to me, part of the, kind of prerequisite for this is that you have more of a relationship type of sell that you're doing. You're not doing more of what I refer to as a transactional sell. So you're looking to build kind of longer term relationships with people. So really figuring out how is it that you can position yourself well so that people want to refer you? How can you be super clear with your messaging about what it is that you're looking for in future clients so that people who have used your services know how to refer you? When people do refer you, how do you thank them? I think that's another really important piece, is you want to give them some kind of, whether it's a gift or you actually, have some kind of a system that you put into place, really looking at systemizing your referrals. As you can see, I can talk a lot about each one here, so I better move on. Create and work a real lead list. I think one of the other things as well too, I talked before about that right fit piece, but identifying, who are the key people that I want to get business from right now? Identifying who those people are, putting them on a list and developing a strategy on how you're going to convert that business. Because, part of a system is you have to be a bit adaptive as well too. You may not be able to take the same approach for every single client or every single lead. Find strategic partners. We talked about that as well too. If you're, Sharon had said one here, if you're a dog walker, maybe you partner with a pet store as a strategic partnership and they give out your card to anybody that comes in to buy dog food, or, you partner with somebody that sells dog biscuits. So there's all kinds of good ways that you can kind of cross promote in that kind of way. And part of, I think, the key with strategic partners is, I was saying about that earlier, how you can spend too much time on it, is you really want to formalize that partnership. You want to figure out a way that you can really be benefiting each other. So either, I'm going to do this for you. You're going to do that for me. We're both going to commit to doing it so that it actually gets some legs rather than, hey, yeah, let's send business each other's way. That's really not going to get the legs. Just ask. I think one of the biggest things is ask people for a coffee date. I was helping my future daughter-in-law with her job search, and because she went out and had a coffee with somebody for a job that she really wasn't that interested in, she met somebody else at the coffee shop, and they said, well, if this person doesn't hire you, I will. She didn't want to work at that other company. She followed up with the person and he ended up hiring her.
I always like to say good things happen when you leave the house. Get away from your keyboard and start meeting people as safely as you can.
As safely as you can, Network. I mean, I realize networking is a little more challenging virtually, but there still are lots of great opportunities. So get out there at least a couple times a month. When you meet with people, have some kind of a follow-up strategy and plan in place as well when you do that, right? One of the things that I did early on when I was trying to build my business was when I went out networking, I would get people's cards and ask if I could put them on my blog email list and send them my blog. And I found that was a good way of building my network. Spend time with a mentor. So find somebody that you look up to that you really feel can give you some good insights and advice, and follow what they actually tell you, and create. I think this is a really big one, and Sharon, you can probably talk about this a little bit more, but having that sell sheet, having something that you can give to people that's a takeaway that is 100% crystal clear for them. Oh, this is the benefit that you provide. Oh, this is exactly what it is that you do. And really being clear here, I think, with what is your differentiator. I always use the example, if you sell real estate and you just say to somebody, oh, I sell real estate, it's like, okay, you and how many hundreds of other people. Whereas if you say, oh, I sell real estate in the Westdale area for young up and coming families. Now I know who I'm going to refer to you or refer to you, right?
Yeah, on the one-page overview. So I love to crack the whip for other people. I'm not awesome at it for myself. So I will crack the whip for you guys, which would be challenge yourself. Instead of spending any time writing on social media or following up in social media, spend an hour writing down what is the problem that you solve, who has that problem, and then create a one-page overview. Selma, feel free to share my email address with the group, hi@SharonRicci.com, and I will be happy to send a sample of what I think is a good sell sheet, because once you have that one-page PDF, you can be sending it out with an email. You could be using it so much more. That particular one-page sell sheet, I think about 99% of businesses do not have it, and to me, it's one of the most important sales support pieces you could have, and well worth the investment if you need help with someone writing it for you, putting it into a design. Then you have a nice one-pager that you can share for a very long time. Those sell sheets make it really clear what you do, what problem you solve, and how do you work with me. I have a great template that I use, and I can't speak about it enough. The one-page sell sheet, everyone should have one, and if you don't have one, I highly suggest you make it a priority.
And if, just based on what you said there, Sharon, if we're looking at some of these other ones, referral partner, sell sheet, strategic partner, sell sheet, mentor, sell sheet, if you give all those people that sell sheet.
Especially when you customize it.
Absolutely.
Because you customize it. In my business, I'm an on-demand strategic creative director. I have a sell sheet for that. But I also do a lot of sales support. So I work one-on-one with entrepreneurs who say, I need these sales pieces. So that's a different sell sheet for me. That's like, you need sales materials, I provide it, this is how it works. So I would have 3 or 4 sell sheets in my back pocket and give them the customized one. People want you to end their pain. So make sure your sell sheet identifies their pain, and then how you solve it, and make it easy to work the person they work with. Sales will come rolling in once you identify their pain and you solve it for them.
Yeah, and I think your sell sheet too, really, it's evidence of what it's going to be like to work with you once somebody actually does become a client. That's where the simple piece and easy, I think, is really important. is if your sell sheet looks clean, simple, easy to understand, I get exactly what it is that you do, that helps to build trust and gives me confidence that I actually want to work with you.
Yeah, a good phrase there is confused people don't buy.
Yeah.
I was doing a one-on-one session with a client and she was straddling between 3 different offers. And so I actually wrote on a piece of paper with a marker, confused people don't buy, and confuse me and lose me. So that sell sheet needs to be very specific to that audience, that pain point in your solution. Better to have 5 sell sheets than try to do 1 sell sheet with all 3 of the things you do.
Yeah.
So confuse me and lose me. A 1-page overview, easy peasy, as my friend Shelley McQuade likes to say.
Exactly. And then help somebody else out. I always think I'm a huge believer in the pay it forward kind of piece. I think that when you help other people, you know, it's not always linear. It doesn't necessarily mean that person is going to help you, but what it does mean is that things come back to you. And I think that's a really good practice to have. I've done that a lot in my life. I know that's one of the things that I do when I first meet with a prospective client. I'll give them every single good piece of advice and information I can give them with no obligation whatsoever. And if they can take everything that I told them and they can go implement it all on themselves, God bless. Like, go do it, go, you know, go figure it all out, and I'm happy to share it with you. Just add quickly, and then the one thing that I find that does is it builds trust with people, because they figure, geez, if she's willing to give me that much free information, how much value am I going to get if I actually start working with her?
Absolutely. One way to propel that, so you're helping someone, but you're also really building businesses, that's the process of workshops. So whether it's a webinar or, you know, in the before times, as we're calling it now, in the before times, we would have a workshop. I would rent a room at Innovation Park. I might pay $100 to do that. It's a free workshop, and maybe it's a 45-minute thing, and I would have a topic like social media without losing your sanity. Now, people would come and I would give them really great advice, tools at no charge. And basically what I'm doing is I'm giving someone a 45-minute infomercial on how great I am and how easy I am to work with. And at the end, I would say at least half the free participants would come up and say, how can I work with you? So being a mensch, being willing to give free advice, free information, especially if you can do it in a smart way. Doing a workshop with 10 people, you're going to probably convert 2 of them, and you never had to even ask for the sale. So just I'm going to do my beware thing here, because I'm the one who's selling is my weakness. So beware. This is often the hardest part of the selling system for women in particular, and you'll have to push through distraction to prioritize converting. In other words, oh, I really should do that laundry. Oh, I really do need to clean out the litter box. I've heard that one before. I have to do the litter box. I really need to do my social media post. Push through and prioritize converting. But the good news is that it pays off in sales and dollars, which is why you're in business. You're not in business to post on social. You're not in business to write endless emails that don't convert. When in doubt, get busy doing things that result in more sales in the next month. Ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now going to turn into a sale in the next week, 2 weeks, or month? If it is not, put it aside. Just put it aside and say, I would rather make 5 calls or email people with a direct ask than just continuing to go around with connections. So stick in your conversion column. We say 60% of the time.
Yeah. And the other thing that I find is really helpful here, back to the system part that Sharon and I were talking about, is that you pick a good time of the day for you when you're in a peak state, and when you know your prospective clients are going to be available as well too, and do that the same day, same time, every single week, week in, week out. Then it just becomes part of what it is that you do. And you're not into that feast or famine. If some of you are service providers that also sell your services, one of the challenges you can run into is you get a new client, you get super busy, you're like, oh my God, your client. You know, you're so busy servicing that client that you stop focusing on trying to generate any new business, and then your funnel dries up.
Absolutely. And, you know, speaking of the process and the system, I'm sure lots of people have heard this, but they call it 10 before 10, which means 10 quality lead touches before 10 a.m. in the morning. Also, it sort of goes to the eat the frog first.
Yeah.
Meaning, if you hate to do these types of sales, then do it first thing in the morning. and get it out of the way. So if you've touched 10 people before 10 a.m., you go, oh, thank God, that part of it is done. Now I get to do the part that's easy for me. But maybe it's 5 before 10. Maybe it's even 1 person before 10. I'm going to make 1 call to someone I've already worked with, someone I know, or a cold call. As Shelley said, what's the very worst thing that can happen? You take your Pepto and you start making the dial and it all works out. But try to set a number and say this many quality lead touches before this time of the day. It can really work.
I like to say, schedule it in your calendar. Because even though you're saying it, put it in your calendar.
Yeah.
Put it,
And I think part of that's part of the commitment piece, Selma. Then you treat it the same way you would treat any other appointment and you stick with it. Okay, just in the interest of time, we're going till what, 1:30, and then I think about 15 minutes if we have questions, right?
Yep.
I'm brutal with time, so I always try to kind of keep myself on track. This one is about celebrating. And I think that this is one of the underdone things in life, is we a lot of times get so focused on that end goal and what it is that we're trying to do, that kind of big thing that's at the end, is that we don't build in some kind of positive momentum and celebration along the way. And research supports that when we do this kind of thing and we actually pause and acknowledge what we've done, it builds a lot of momentum and releases endorphins. So we have the energy and the strength to keep on going. So really what you're wanting to do here is build in some little celebrations for yourself daily, weekly, monthly, so that you're doing what I call those lead indicators that you're going to actually get a sale. A lead indicator that you're actually going to get a sale is that you made those 10 calls this week. So you're going to celebrate that you made those 10 calls this week, because that's going to give you the strength next week to make the 10 calls again, and the week after that to make the 10 calls again. If you wait until you actually get the sale before you celebrate, you're likely to be not completely demoralized, but you're likely to kind of run out of some steam, along
especially
the way.
Solopreneurs. Like if we worked in an office and we were, taking baby steps towards whatever the goal was, you'd have people around you saying, oh, Sharon, that's great. Oh, I really appreciate you doing that. But when we work on our own, it can become, a void. One thing I put in here is my beware, is that often we think we're going to celebrate the big moments and successes in our businesses, and then we get busy and we just move to the next thing. I don't know how many times I've said, you know what, when I finish that workshop series, when I get that new client, I'm going to get myself a cake because I love cake. I go to the bakery, they write like, congratulations, Sharon, on it. My whole family's super embarrassed when we eat it, but I get a cake and they write on it and it says, you made it. But other times I think I'm going to do that. And then I just move on to the next thing. So always take time to, one, acknowledge your hard work. It is freaking hard to work, be an entrepreneur. It's hard to sell, and celebrate your courage for being an entrepreneur. It's not easy. That's why not everyone's doing it. And celebrate the small wins, including just sticking to the sales system. So don't wait until, oh, I'm going to get the sale. I'm going to make even the 10 calls. Today, celebrate the fact that you came on this webinar, that, maybe stand up and do the happy dance, maybe get yourself a icy Coke. I don't know. I'm just speaking for myself.
And again, I think that's the other thing too. Sometimes people will look at this and they'll say to me like, well, like how much money am I going to have to spend on this celebration? And it's like, that's not the point. The weekly celebration could be that you buy yourself your favorite tea, to enjoy, right? Your celebration daily could be, when I'm finished doing my 10 calls, I'm going to sit down for 15 minutes and
watch cat videos.
Yeah, exactly.
What? Have I done that before?
Yeah. So you're going to do something that brings you joy.
Yeah.
Because I think that that's the other kind of key piece of it is how many people want to buy from grumpy people? Zero, zilch, nada. They want to buy from people that are joyful, that are in a good space, and that are enjoyable to connect with. So if you build in those celebrations for yourself, there's a much higher probability that you're going to be in a happier, more contented space.
Like I like to pick up the call and talk to fellow entrepreneurs, and they're my friends, and really I shouldn't talk to them until I've made my 5 or 10 quality touches. So hold off on what you love to do and force yourself to eat the frog first. And if you have 2 frogs eat both frogs first before you get to the celebration of talking to a friend or going out or flying off to like West Palm Beach. That's one of my favorite celebrations.
Absolutely. Not now.
Not right now.
But yeah. And so let's go on to the fourth C, which is about change. And the only thing certain, I like to say, is change. We live in a world that's constantly changing. We're going through change right now from summer to fall. And so one of the things that we want to talk to you here is about reflecting weekly on what's working, what isn't working, and what am I going to do about it. This is one of the best gifts that you can give yourself as far as your personal development goes. It is really important that you self-reflect on what's happening and what's working with what it is that you're doing. And I think it's really important if you have a sales team or you have other people that you get them to do the same things themselves. We will not change until we self-reflect and recognize that we need something to change. So the very act of doing this is very powerful. The reason why you want to do the what works is because you want to build on that positive momentum. If something is going super fantastic, you want to figure out how you can replicate and do more of that consciously and on purpose.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in with a beware. And sometimes Shelley and I come at things the exact same way, and sometimes a little bit different. I have a beware on that. Is sometimes we rush to change things when we haven't given our plan a chance. Shelley's going, no, that sounds familiar, Sharon.
Yeah.
I love to change things.
Yeah.
Because I love to create stuff. So my beware, and this is coming from someone who likes to distract myself. So, I can't quite sell yet because I got to change that, Shelley. I can't quite make those calls because I don't have everything perfect. So I would say, when we're rushing to change, we want to get a little curious and say, am I changing this because the market told me that this is not a great idea? Did the market tell me I need to make a change? Or am I making a change before anyone else even said a thing? So change can be a distraction, and only change when the market tells you something isn't working. Don't change until you've pitched your idea 45 times and no one says yes. That's a challenge because, boy, we love to change stuff because it's fun to change stuff. We get to make new pictures and new sell sheets, and we get to do all of that. So try to pitch it 45 times, and when no one says yes, then go, okay, I think I need change. But change when the market tells you need to change, not that you're distracting yourself from the hard work of selling.
And I think that's part of knowing yourself. You know, if you are somebody that embraces change, or are you somebody that's resistant to change? But I also think too, it's that cognitive bias. It's about being real with yourself and not being biased. Oh, well, you know, everybody out there is just an idiot and they don't know my product's really great. Okay, maybe there's some truth in that, but really, you know, dig down deep and look within on that as well.
I think a fresh set of eyes on change is always a good idea.
Absolutely.
Say, I think I need to change this, and someone who knows your business and can have some insight might say, you know what, I don't think that you don't need to change your product or offer. Maybe you need to change your sales message. So a second set of eyes is always valuable for that.
And here what I always say is you want to identify too, is it that you have a skill gap or a will gap? A skill gap essentially is that you need to learn something. So, you know, maybe you need to learn something within your sales process. So you need to figure that out. So you either look online or get some insights and ideas that way. Or is it a will gap? Is there some self-limiting belief that you have that's holding you back? Are you running the same story? Are you stuck in the same place? You know, did you really make the 10 calls? Did you really put effort into making those 10 calls? Or did you just kind of do what you could to get through them and you really didn't give it 120%? So I think that's the critical piece here. So we're at the 1:30 mark. I'm just kind of cognizant of trying to kind of keep everybody on schedule. If you have questions, this is the time to put them into the chat box and we can answer those for you. If you need to go, we understand everybody's got kind of a busy schedule. So feel free to pop those chat messages in there.
And you're going to get after Selma fixes my spacing issue. Everyone will get a PDF of this particular sheet, and then you can fill it in yourselves.
So
Sorry,
there's a few questions.
okay,
Allison
pop up the
asked,
chat for us, Selma.
pardon?
So can you pop up the chat so we can see them?
I can see them. You have to pop the chat up on your screen.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. Let us pop the chat up, and then that way we'll be better
One
informed.
was from Allison. Do you put your pricing on the sell sheet?
Okay, Sharon, that's a good one for you.
Depending on whether your offer is a pricing play or not. So if pricing, one of your strategies is you're underpricing and your pricing is surprisingly affordable, I would put the price on it. But if you're not on a pricing strategy, I wouldn't.
Okay. Good.
Okay.
Juliet says this has been fantastic. Thank you both to you. Looking forward to receiving the 4 C's.
Excellent.
I know someone's something special. Sometimes is that celebration where people starting to put in?
Which
Something
one?
special. Sometimes with someone special.
Oh, so what
Point. Yes.
Lynn did is she's an entrepreneur and I've set up an annual goal, and if I achieve it, I reward with something special, and sometimes a diamond earrings, necklace, example, a little more than cake. But
yeah.
Cake is weekly, not annual. Cake is weekly.
West Palm Beach is annually. Yeah.
Quarterly.
But like I said, it has to be something that's meaningful to you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's different. Lori said, thank you, everyone. Great spreadsheet and lots of helpful information. I need to go as I have another meeting to go to.
Okay.
I think someone likes the cat videos have been scientifically proven to uplift us. So thank you, Kathleen.
Very good.
I appreciate the fellow cat video person. Although someone said the new one to watch is octopus doing things, like they have tools and the octopus will be doing stuff. It's the new thing. Watch the octopuses with tools and they pull people and
Wow, there you go. Excellent. So any other questions that we have at all? Anybody have anything else that they would like to ask about any one of the 4 C's or about their personal?
And why don't you give us your, the video for everybody is going to be a link that's going to be in the Eventbrite email. I have to upload it to YouTube, and once I get the link, then I can send it out to you. The PDF will come also in an email through Eventbrite, and someone's asked for your websites. So if you want, you can type that in the chat box for you.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, we'll include that information for you as well. Yeah. And
when's the next session, Shelley?
Yeah, next session is going to be in March 2021. And so we're finished off the series for this year. Again, this one, as you may recall, typically we go from March to June, but this was postponed from March when we thought we were going to be back in person.
I know, I forgot what month it was there for a second. I was like, am I in March or January?
Yeah.
What is the month?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I guess with that, we'll give it a wrap, and hope everybody has a wonderful fall and amazing Thanksgiving. That's my favorite holiday. I love Thanksgiving. And now you can see our little Barker, who he was here. This is Birdie, super adorable. Yep. And have a great fall, and thank you for coming out.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.